Okay, David, so a 1-1 draw at home to Witton Albion today. Thoughts on the game overall?
Overall, I thought we played pretty well. If you look at the number of chances we had and probably field position, territory, possession, I thought we probably edged it. But Witton were decent on the break, but I don't really remember having to make a save. They had a deflection that went just wide in the second half, but other than that, I don't think they really opened us up, and we probably had 4 or 5 chances to score that we should have taken. Ultimately, the difference today in terms of the two sides was that they were clinical when they got their chance. We switched off. Probably the one time we did switch off and they punished us, and we had 4 or 5 chances where we just weren't clinical enough.
Pleased with 𝙍𝙚𝙨𝙩-𝙈𝙖𝙩 goal, capitalised on a bit of hesitation at the back and nipped it in.
It was a simple goal, but it's something I talk about a lot. Put balls into the right areas and ask questions of defenders. It's difficult. It's a bobbly pitch. It was lively today. We turned up. It's always difficult as a defender facing your own goal. Jack put him under a lot of pressure and he finished really well when it came to it. So it's good reward for doing the right things.
𝙍𝙤𝙨 came off in the first half with an injury. Any updates on that so far?
We've done an initial assessment. It doesn't look too bad. It's an hamstring thing though, so we need to just let it kind of run its course for a couple of days and then properly assess it in the week. So he will. I suspect he will miss some football. We're just not sure how much yet.
Okay. And Bailey Marsden came on and played. Personally, I thought he played very well today. So.
Not a bad sub to have, and it's worked quite well if you look at the timing. Bailey, he's always out. We get 4 into 3, and we've got Joe Edwards. Didn't get on today, so it's 5 into 3. We didn't think Bailey was quite ready for a start, but he ended up playing an hour, and I thought he was great. I thought he just asked different questions. He's a different type of footballer from the other midfielders we've got. Kane's very ratty. He gets around, he breaks things up. He's good on the ball. You've got 2 good passes in JB and Nicky, but Bailey carries the ball so well, and his movement's really clever. So he asked different questions, and a couple of times I thought he was unlucky with some of his movements, some of the runs, just to not quite get something from it.
Do you think the introduction of Bailey changed the game a little bit? We seem to be not struggling, but Witton seemed to be a bit more on top at that point, had a lot of the ball, and Bailey came on and we seemed to settle down a lot more and create more chances. Possibly
a couple of facts in that. I think Kane had been carrying that knot for a few minutes. We were desperately trying to get the ball out of play, and couldn't get the ball out of play and get Bailey ready to come on. But then Bailey just asks a different question, and it's his movement. He makes very clever runs. It means you can hit balls into good areas, and he'll hold it up for you, get you up the pitch. So it does just add a different dimension. It's always difficult deciding which of the players you want to play in there, because they all bring different things. They're all quality, but they all bring different things. And today, I think you're right. I think Bailey's qualities just had a different dynamic, and I thought Witton struggled to cope with that. They weren't quite sure the midfield was picking him up, but defenders were picking him up, and he found space quite well.
Any thoughts on the goal we conceded? Are you disappointed with the manner it went in, or the awarding of the free kick beforehand?
It was an incredibly soft free kick. It was clever centre forward play. Duckworth was facing dugouts and drew a bit of contact. When I say a bit of contact, it was a bit of contact. And he went down, and the referee gave a free kick. Duckworth knew what he'd done. He was laughing his head off as he went to ground. But from there, they've still got a lot to do, and we switched off. I thought Banny and Freddie got too involved, complaining to the referee. Allowed them to play quick down the outside. They then put a decent cross in that nobody got the end of. And we didn't defend the second phase well enough. I think we should have defended that ball better. I think maybe Tom could have been more positive and come and dealt with the cross in. Still, I think Shane just got under it a little bit, looped up, and we didn't really compete for the header for the scorer. So they were a bit of a catalogue of errors really. But I wouldn't have minded the free kick being given so much if that was consistently throughout. But I saw Mason Fawns push with 2 hands in his back that conveniently nobody saw. I saw players go over the top of the ball, it wasn't given. I saw plenty of nudges, and then we had one on Sean on the halfway line where he pushes the ball between 2 players. You step across and check him, and he gets cleaned out, and it's a play on. It's that level of consistency that absolutely drives me mad.
Those two decisions at the end, we don't want to take too much time talking about referees, but the one on Sean and the handball at the end seemed to be very poor decisions.
The consistency drives you mad as a manager, but the fact that referees consistently get big decisions wrong. The last 2 games, I think referees have cost us 4 points. I genuinely do. I don't think we were particularly bad on Tuesday night. I thought we were dominating the game until after that penalty, and it has an impact psychologically when the penalty wasn't given and they scored just afterwards. And then I thought today we pressed and pressed and pressed. It was a great ball in. The ball clear as day hit his hand. The player's reaction, Ollie Martin's reaction and goal, told you everything you need to know about where that ball hit. Both the linesman and the referee claimed that Andy Keogh was in the way, and he's a big lad, but he ain't that big to cover two wide divisions that are about 70 degrees apart from each other. People who stood in the stand next to the linesman and people on the pitch next to the referee could see clearly what happened. For me, they made a huge mistake, and I suspect they bottled it. And it's an easy thing for them to say that they didn't see it. I suspect once if they're doing this part time, if they don't quite make it full time, I think there's a great career in politics for quite a few of them.
Aside from that, it was we've said it a few times this season, but it was a proper advert for non-league football. Witton brought some good fans with them as well. 600 here today.
Good. And I didn't expect anything else. Witton have been in great form. They've got a good manager in Joe Macken and some excellent players. They came to play. They came to make a game of it. It made it quite entertaining. It was quite open. There were some really good passages of football. It was competitive. Two teams who really wanted to go and try and win the game. I think both of us were in a position where we probably needed 3 points today. The atmosphere around the ground was good, and unfortunately the bit that at the moment seems to be spoiling non-league football are the officials, and I just think it's incumbent on the FA, it's incumbent on the various referees associations and PGMOL and others to better educate and support referees. We're asking these referees to fast track through the leagues, and we've seen what happens when you try and put 17, 18-year-old kids from the Northwest counties into the Northern Premier League. They struggle, they're not ready for it. It's the same with referees, and we're just not helping them well enough, I don't think. So there's great advert for non-league football, but sadly for me, again, the weakest performances I thought were from the people who are.
And we move on. Next weekend we go to Clitheroe. How big is that game, or how do you see that game unfolding?
2 different questions there. It's a game that's taken on huge importance now. We've hit this bit of a slump, and I don't think we've been hugely bad in that. I think Widnes was a terrible performance. I thought we didn't really deserve anything out of the day. I think we've deserved 2 wins out of the last 2 games, and big decisions haven't gone our way, and now we've got a whole different complexion because of where things have gone. We're now in a position where Clitheroe beat Ramsbottom on Tuesday. I think we probably just slipped down to 6th. Therefore, beating Clitheroe becomes huge. Clitheroe in a good run of form. Clitheroe have got some excellent footballers. They've got a good crowd behind them. It will be a difficult place to go. A win there is massive. If we win that game, it's massive. If we don't, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think Clitheroe will get on a run, and we're in a bit of for me, it's 2 from 3. I think it's 2 from us, Linux and Clitheroe. I think Witton will still fancy that they can maybe sneak into that with a couple of games in hand, but it is huge. A win there changes the complexion of everything. It changes the feel around the place. It changes the month. It gives us a lift as we go into the final 10 games. But if we go there and we lose, well, we regroup. We've still got 30 points to play for. We'll still give it a push. I think it's very easy to get down with where we are. And I've talked about this a lot previously. You don't get too high with the highs and too low with the downs. And we're in a good position. We're better than we were last year. I think we're in a tougher league. We've picked up more points at the equivalent stage of last season. I think overall we've looked better and more competitive. Overall, we've certainly moved in the right direction, and we've got to reflect on that and be proud of what we've achieved so far, and also take some confidence that the same players who got us into the position are also in this dressing room. We haven't lost players this season, so we've got the same quality that's got us to currently 5th in the table to see us through the running. So it's not the end of the world. I think we've got to have a little bit more confidence in ourselves. I think the fans sometimes have a bit more confidence than in the dressing room. And just give our all next week, and if it doesn't go our way, we regroup and we have a real push for the last 10.
And how do you keep the players, last one from me, how do you keep the players on the bench who haven't come on in the last couple of games because they've been tight games? How do you keep them happy, players like Umar?
It's really difficult, and we were debating getting how we get Umar on, and something we just talked about post-game is how do we potentially change shape to include Umar a little bit more. I think today we had, at the point when you might have looked to inject something different, we thought showing his pace might have just had a different offer than Umar. Umar doesn't really suit playing out wide, he's much more of a 9. But Keogh was playing quite well, he was occupying centre halves, he was leading, he was doing a lot of good things, and he was involved in a lot of positive plays, so we didn't want to take Keogh off. So we need to find a way to in those sorts of games when it's tight and we want to unlock defences, we need to find a way to get Umar and Keogh on the pitch together. Worked quite well at Linux when Keogh had to drop in, so that's on us to find a way. He's going to be disappointed. He wants to play football. Everybody wants to play football. But we've had a chat to him. Jack Grundy is equally disappointed. He's had a real stop-start season, and a lot of it not really due to his fault. I don't think he did particularly much wrong in the last couple of games. The sending off was harsh. We have appealed it. Having watched it back, we decided to appeal it, and we'll find out on Tuesday. But at the moment, unless that appeal goes through, he misses next Saturday, so it wouldn't have been right to start him and leave Josh out, and then look to bring Josh back in next week. So Jack's been really unlucky with things like that, and you know he is a bit frustrated by it. He's probably a bit down by it because it's been such a stop-start season for him when he was really open to kick on this year. So it's tough. It's tough. The only thing I have said to them all is we have got a very small squad. They will what we needed. There's still a lot of football to be played, and I think they get that. And there's a good spirit in the dressing room. So I hope that's kind of enough to kind of to kind of keep them interested and make sure they're ready when they're called on.
Thanks, David.
Cheers, Nathan.